Welcome to Weasel Digital, and welcome to So You Want to Fly. So You Want to Fly is a instructional guide for new players to give them some quick, easy builds to put together, some quick tips for battle. Before we get to today's episode, we have a word from our sponsor, Star Killer Calf Company. Remember, it's not just calf, it's Star Killers. So with that, let's get to the main show here, and that is the U-Wing gunship. The U-Wing gunship is a sturdy gunship. The U-Wing Starfighter is a well-armed swing-wing vessel with support capabilities that make it dangerous against the Empire and vital for New Republic squadrons. In and of itself, the U-Wing gunship is not overly powerful. It really deviates from all of the other ships on the Rebel side. It's hard to play solo against other players. It's very weak against capital ships. However, it acts as a force multiplier to your team. And if you support a U-Wing with any other ship, you act as a force multiplier upon the U-Wing. So it's really a very team-orientated ship. And that's ultimately why I don't favor it much. I don't play in a team environment. I know I play in a team game, but it's not a team environment. I don't know any of the other players on my team. I don't have groups. I don't play this with friends. I'm out there just signing up solo, joining matches with 4 complete strangers, and hoping for the best. And this ship really does better when you have teamwork. Now, it's not to say that you can't use it solo and do awesome. I've seen some pilots. I have one in mind right now that blew me away with how effective they were with their U-Wing. But let's start looking at some stats, then we'll do some quick builds here. So, max hull of 1,000, max shields of 1,000. Both pretty darn high. That's on the higher end in both categories, which means there's a lot of survivability here. The next set of stats is where things get a little bit weaker, though. Max speed of 130 is not particularly fast, but it's not bad. Max acceleration of 144 is kind of on the slower end. Again, it's not bomber bad, but it's not exactly a rocket ship. Maneuverability of a 70 again is on that lower end. Again, not bomber bad, but not fighter good either. So its speed, acceleration, maneuverability are all just kind of And that's where this ship has a problem. If you try to fly it like an X-Wing or an A-Wing and try to, get in there and chase things down and shoot them down in a dogfight, you're not going to do well because this ship's not designed for that. In fact, U-Wings, being rather large, rather slow, tend to be pretty easy targets. And since they don't have the same kind of durability that a Y-Wing does, it's really easy for interceptors to swoop in and target these ships and knock them out real quick. So you have to fly this differently. And that takes effort, which is why I wouldn't maybe always suggest this to a new player. But if you don't mind playing that support role or playing a little bit different style, the U-Wing might be the ship for you. So, we're actually going to do 3 builds for this ship. And they serve a little bit different roles. The first one is going to be strictly for dogfights. We're going to stick with our laser cannon, just our standard laser cannon. The other options are auto aim cannon and ion cannon. Since you don't have any secondary weapons, the ion cannons really don't work well, except in a strong team environment. So I would be sticking with the laser cannon. Your left auxiliary is going to be the Zerka Seeker Mine, and I feel dirty just suggesting this thing. 900 damage, lasts for 10 seconds, has a 200 meter arming range, 9-second cooldown, and 6 ammo capacity with strong homing. These things are fast, and they are deadly. Good players can counter them easily. They can shoot them down, they can use their Seeker Mines or other countermeasures to take care of them. However, these things cut through rookie players like a hot knife through butter. It is crazy how many kills you can get with Seeker Mines when you're playing with a bunch of rookies in the match. Our right auxiliary is going to be the Turret Mine. We'll come back to how those play in a little bit. Our countermeasures, we're going to switch over to our Seeker Warheads. For our hull, we're going to leave that. The options all have some severe trade-offs, which end up hurting you a lot more than they help. For shields, again, there's really no good options that don't have bad trade-offs for you. And the same goes for our engines. There's really nothing here that isn't going to hurt you more than it's going to help. So, the big change we did here is countermeasures and then picking up the Seeker Mines. Now, the way this craft is used is for dogfights only. You're not going to want to bring this into fleet battles. It's going to struggle there. But this becomes a aerial denial vessel in your dogfights. You're going to move, and I would strongly suggest sticking with someone. Try to find a friend in your match or play with someone you know. What you're going to want to do is approach the enemy when you get close. I'm talking when you're about, when you're approaching 1,000 meters. If you got someone coming towards you, or if you're coming up behind them, don't start at 1,000 meters. You're going to want to get in a lot closer. But the first thing you're going to do is lay down that turret mine, and that shoots out ahead of you and sets up. It takes just a little bit of time to set up, but once it sets up, it starts firing. It's got a 1,000-meter range, and it just keeps firing constantly for the entire lifespan of 24 seconds, which is huge. It doesn't do a lot of DPS. The 169 isn't huge, but it's not bad. And it helps. So when you're taking on one target, you have your laser cannons that you're using, and you now have the turret mine that's firing away at it too. A lot of times these turret mines are just hard to target. In the heat of a battle, you're going to be flying past these things. You're not going to see where they are. You're not going to be able to react to them well. Your countermeasures can't take them out. So you're left having to hunt them down or just run away. And either one of those things is good for you, because when they're focusing on that turret mine, you can focus on them. If they turn and run away from it, you can focus on them. If they stay focused on you, that's fine. Just try to outfly them and stay alive, and let the turret mine tear into them. The Seeker Mine, anytime someone's getting close to you, if someone's tailing you, you don't see them, drop that Seeker Mine. If someone's coming in and jousting with you, drop that Seeker Mine a little bit early before you pass each other, then that'll activate and chase them down. It does considerable damage. It can take out interceptor class ships in one hit. It has that much strength to it. If you've put any hurt on a target, it puts it into Seeker Mine territory. So those are a great combo, and they can really rack up a lot of kills with very little effort. The Seeker Mines are dumbfire. You drop them and you hope someone flies near them. On maps with lots of debris, such as Galatan, Sassubo, the Xavian Abyss, there's lots of places where you can hide these just around a corner and they'll hit someone flying by. Turret mines also are great in those kind of areas where they can help deny an area. They can help deter people from chasing you down. So that's our straight up build for dogfights. Now the next two builds can be used in either dogfights or fleet battles, and they play more of a support role, whereas the other build we did is more of a attack role, where you're actually going to be getting kills, where you're going to be doing damage, where you're really going to be thrown in and participating in the battle. The other two here are going to be more of a support role. So first up, we're going to do our full-on support.
Guaranteed to satisfy.
Now our full-on support is going to stick with our standard laser cannons. We're going to stick with our supply droid, and we're going to throw on the tactical shields. We're going to switch to our countermeasures for our seeker warheads. And it's probably best to just stick with our standard. As you advance in skill, those areas can be adjusted a little bit, but for rookie players, I would stick with those standard options. Now, the role of this one is straight up support. In a dogfight, you're going to want to just stick with your allies. Find someone, an X-Wing, maybe a B-Wing if someone's flying one, although you hope not. Y-Wings are good options. If you find a good A-Wing pilot that's willing to stick close to you, make friends with them. Throw tactical shields on them. Throw supplies on them. Those supply droids will repair them and rearm them. When I'm flying my knife fighting A-Wing, there is nothing I love more than a competent support U-Wing that's willing to stick by me. Every time I'm coming near him, he's throwing supplies at me and tactical shields. If something's on his tail, he'll target it and he'll mark it for kills, and I'm going to keep him alive because he's keeping me alive. And that's where that force multiplication comes in. By sticking close to him with my A-Wing, I keep him alive, he keeps me healed. By him sticking close to me, I keep him safe, he keeps me healed. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking to find a buddy or two. These things are really super great on those open maps, like Yavin. Yavin is a great place to have one of these for dogfights, because Yavin ends up being just a big ball in the middle where there's lots of combat. And this ship can just sit out there and keep healing and shielding its allies before that next wave of enemies come in. In fleet battles, you're going to play this a little bit differently. In fleet battles, you really need to learn where those limits are in the battlefield, and you're not going to want to go past them. So at the start of battle, you engage in your normal combat. You keep your team alive with the supply droids and the tactical shields. Do what you can to shoot things down. Once the battle changes, though, your role changes. If your team gets on offense, your role is not to go and attack the enemy ships. You're going to stay a little bit ahead of your frigates. And what you're going to do is anyone coming from your capital ship to go and make a bombing run, you're going to drop a tactical shield on them. That's going to boost their shields and keep them alive in battle as they fly past you. You're also going to be there for if anyone is retreating. Someone has made their bombing runs or has made their attacks but now is damaged or needs to restock on weapons. They can hightail it back towards those frigates. You can spot those. You can heal them. You can get them, reshielded. A lot of times those guys will have people chasing them. A lot of times if I'm doing a bombing run, on the return back to the frigates, I have someone on my tail. So having one of these U-Wings step in there and repair, throw a shield on me, and then shoot at that attacker, that'll save my bacon and let me get back into the fight. If you start taking heat in those kind of situations, in your U-Wing, you just back off, go back towards those frigates, and find safety and shelter there. So that's kind of your role. And so you have to know where those danger zones are. And the best way to really kind of experience that is just go out and fly it. Play a practice fleet battle and fly beyond the combat zone. And you'll see when you enter those danger zones and then extrapolate that to your side where that barrier is. Because you want to be able to run back behind that quickly if the enemy pushes on you. The other build to look at is one that works really kind of better for dogfights, but can be used in either. And that's just tweaking the mix a little bit. So what we want to do is go with either your supply droids or your tactical shield. Now for rebel pilots, I often think that the tactical supply droid is the better bet. That'll repair hull damage and restock their weapons. Then what you want to do is either the turret mine or the straight up seeker mine. Now, again, in fleet battles, you're still going to be kind of working that safety line. This build can push out a little bit further because you do have the turret mines that can help you in case one target comes in on you. Then the combination of the turret mine and your own blasters can keep you safe. We of course want to go with the seeker warheads. The supply droid is there to, refill ammunition and heal rebel pilots. Oftentimes, if you can just heal them up, they can recharge their own shields and get back into battle faster than going all the way back to their frigates. This build also works pretty good as a hybrid build between your combat and your total repair in those dogfight matches also. So if you don't like committing totally to a fighter build or totally to a support build, this is a good combination where you can be supplying your team and you can be dropping those mines and doing combat too. So those are our three builds. We have our straight up attack build, we have our straight up support build, and then we have our hybrid build. So we'll take these into combat and show you a little bit about how they work there. So as always, with any ship that has shields, you always want to make sure you power those up. Here I have some incoming fighters, so I drop a mine, which you can see over on the left. You see it activate, and as I turn around, you'll see it's chasing down my adversary and taking him out. You either want to use the mine as an aerial denial type tactic, where you place it and then stay in that area to defend yourself. Or when people are making passes on you or chasing you, you can drop it to actually take them out. The turret mine is a great aerial denial. You can see its shots coming in from the side. You drop it down and you stay close to it, and it'll fire shots off at any enemy within range. And you can actually deploy both at the same time, as I just did there. They then create this nice area. So you have the mine on that side. If I continue to turn, you can see the turret mine on the other side. If you stay in between these, you're actually in kind of a safety zone. Now for our support build. At the start of battle, what you want to do before you engage with the enemy is you want to pick a target on your side. You want to dump your shield boost on them. This will increase their survivability. I would highly suggest you pick someone that looks like they're a competent pilot, and I would stick to things like the X-Wings and the A-Wings. Feel free to engage in some combat early on, because you do need to get the morale on your side to begin with. Once your side has morale, you're going to be staying a little ahead of your side, but not far. Your main goal is targeting any incoming bombers from your allies, throwing a shield on them so they have more survivability when they attack the enemy frigates.
Enemies locked on.
Any returning ships can be shielded and repaired. Because of that, I would suggest when you're using the hybrid build, the shields probably are the most valuable in fleet battles, while the repairs and rearm is probably the most valuable in dogfights. So with that, you've now seen the quick builds. You have seen them in battle, so I hope you have a little bit better understanding of the U-Wing gunship. Again, it's a force multiplier. You need to find someone you can work with and that will stick close to you and work with you. If you have a friend that plays the game and you like playing a support role, the U-Wing is an amazing craft. And even just teamed up with one other ship can totally tip the balance of battle. Nothing makes me happier than finding a U-Wing that realizes my skill and supports me in battle. I will do everything in my power to keep ships off his tail and keep him alive. That guy becomes my personal hero for that match. So those support ships are great. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.